Hey Tibby, guess what? There's new beta firmware. What do you think about that? You don't care, do you? I'm going to use my main live preset to demonstrate some of the features in this release. If you have watched the channel before, you know what this is all about. It's the USA lead mid-gain amp model. I've got a gate, a parametric EQ, and a multi-band compressor in there to really kind of fine-tune the response for playing really loud live. There's 3 scenes. I'll show them off for you all really quickly. I do have a couple of other options in this particular preset for when I need them, but for example, I have a gig tomorrow night where we're playing a 35-minute set at a festival, so it's just going to be these 3 sounds. I'm going to jump around a bunch and have a really good time. I don't want to think too much about any of those extra sounds, which I might use on a different gig. Okay, the headline feature in this release are the perform pages. So if I page over, I've got my per preset perform screen right there where I can assign 10 parameters from any blocks that I like. So the top row of 5 are going to correspond to these 5 encoders here. For example, you can see I've assigned the reverb 1 mix to a parameter. So if I want more reverb, I can just turn that particular encoder and I've got more reverb. I've also assigned the gate and the multiband compressor threshold there, as well as my lead scene level and my lead delay level. For example, if I go over to that lead scene and I want more of a boost, I can quickly dial it in with the A encoder. This should really be called the sound check page as well, because the way I've set it up, I've got my parametric EQ low cut and high cut. Again, I can use that to tune this particular preset to different systems in different situations. I can set the amount of gain boost that I've got, the amp input trim, and the treble control on this particular amp is really important to the overall sound. So I've got that one on there if I'm using a different guitar and I need to fine tune that. Pretty awesome. There's also a global perform page, and by default this comes with amp controls. You can of course set these to whatever you want. So if you're in FM3 edit, go to the perform screen here, and let's say I wanted to add, say, the input trim control and the overdrive control to my global performance page. I would just take this and drag and drop it over here, and now it's going to be assigned to this encoder. I can navigate up. You can see the E encoder now controls the overdrive control on my amp, and I can use any block I like. For example, if I wanted to take the wah frequency maximum, I could assign that somewhere over here just by grabbing it. What do I want? Frequency max. Let's say I wanted to replace the amp 1 treble. Can just drag that over there. Really nice and easy. So these are probably one of the most important and significant features that have been added to the FM3 so far. They're so very, very handy. One other feature which I really, really like, let's say I go back to my dry scene over here. Let's go setup and let's go global settings, not global settings. Although on the global settings, check this out, we can now have the global EQs as parametric EQs if we want. Really, really cool. So parametric or graphic. I'm more comfortable with parametric EQs for tweaking all of my presets rather than a graphic. You may prefer the graphic. We've got the option now. What I wanted was the FC controllers. So let's hit this foot switch here, and you can see there's this new second press previous scene function that I can set for any preset. So let's do this. Let's turn that on, and I'll show you what it does. Let's say I'm over here and I'm on my kind of rhythmic delay scene and I'm playing, then I switch back to to my dry sound. If I want to go back to the delay, rather than press this button again, I can just do a second tap of this foot switch right here, and it will take me to my delay scene. I forgot I dialed in that lead boost so loud, but you get the idea anyway. Certain songs that are in our live set, I don't need that rhythmic delay scene, so I'm just going to be switching between the kind of crunch sound and the lead sound. So the fact that I can just remember to hit one foot switch and toggle between them, that's really handy. There are other songs where I need to switch back and forth between the dry sound and the delay sound as well. So again, that's just kind of handy. It basically turns into whatever my particular preference is in a particular song where I have to keep switching between parts and sounds. I've got that on that particular second tap function. Really, really nice. I talked about the global graphic and parametric EQ. That is really, really handy. One other thing which has got a few very handy updates is the tuner. If we activate the tuner and then page across, you can see I can set the tuner into like a down tune mode. I don't know why I've got it at 3 semitones at the moment, but let's put it at 2 semitones, for example, because I'm in drop C. So what this will do now is, even though the actual pitch of this string is a D note, it will tell me it's an E, as though I'm just thinking of playing in standard tuning. And then I can get in tune from there. Personally, that's not a feature that I would ever use, so I'm going to set it to off, so I get the actual pitch. But some people prefer to just think of their guitar as always, the first string is always the E, even when it's not tuned to E. And having that visual feedback again is very, very handy. You can also set the input source to either be input 1, input 2, or both inputs. So if you're using multiple instruments into those inputs, that is very, very handy as well. One other feature is you can see the actual Footswitch display is going to display some information about the tuner now. So if I go over here, watch these foot switches. If I'm slightly out of tune, it will tell me that I'm a little bit flat right there, and I can bring it back up. So I can either use the onboard screen or I can use the foot switches, which is just, again, more visual feedback live is definitely a good thing. So we've done the second press, we've looked at the perform pages and how you can dial them in. There's new bias excursion modeling, so this doesn't have the Cygnus amp modeling in it just yet. That will come in another update, but the amps are sounding fantastic. They've sounded fantastic for a long time, but if you like fiddling around with deep parameters, that bias excursion is really, really good. I've really noticed it on this particular high gain patch as well, where it just makes me want to dig in and play a little bit harder, which I think is always a good thing. One last little feature is if we go to the FC controllers, there is now a default factory layout that you can load up. I'm not going to load it up here, for the FM3 together with the FC6, what some have dubbed the OMG9 layouts. You used to be able to download these from the forum, but now they are baked into the firmware, which is lovely stuff indeed. So I'm going to go through this firmware a little bit more, just check that my live preset is working fine so I can gig it tomorrow and have a good time and use some of these extra little bits of functionality. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. You can get this particular release from the Fractal forum at the moment. Remember, it's not an official release. You don't have to try the beta release out. I'm sure that the full release will come very soon because so far it's seemed really, really stable. Alrighty, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'm going to go over to my perform page because that's where it's going to be parked. I'll play you all out with some really over-the-top lead guitar. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.